Hello,
So you,
hello, hello, everybody. I'm gonna get interrogated by Frank here because did you watch my video or did you just see the title? I was like, okay, I'm gonna question this
no,
girl.
I actually, okay. I thought I was going to be the one to ask the questions, but here we are, being
No,
interrogated.
because I'm just curious. It's like, did
All
you
right, all
watch
right.
it?
I didn't watch it to the end.
Oh,
To
you
the
didn't
point where
even watch it until the end.
I didn't watch it to the end, but I watched it halfway enough to get like most of the gist and enough
No,
to
the
form the
the second
questions.
half is also very important, man.
Yeah, don't worry, I'll go back. After you finish watching one of my videos, watch it to the end. The long ones I have, watch it from the beginning to the end. Then I'll finish watching that one. But I'll finish watching it. Don't worry. I think what we were talking about was
The,
interesting.
the
So
day
I
the day
get
I'll request a live session with you to interrogate you on a video. I promise it will
Mhm.
be a video I watched all the way through.
All right. All right. Another reason why I was like, maybe I don't need to watch it to the end is that in a way I kind of we've spoken about some of the things you talked about in the video, and it was a conversation that we were having in one of our live streams, and we kind of couldn't continue on that conversation because we had other things to talk about, or that was not the main reason for the live stream. So we had to go back to the main reason of the live stream, right? So it's kind of why I kind of don't need to watch it to the end, you know, to kind of ask the question about what you think about demons. Okay. And I think halfway through is already clear what you are trying to say. I think the analogy we are creating is already clear.
Mm.
Okay, you know what? Let me just
No, just it's
give you
okay.
what
It's okay. You know, you can
I think I need to
interrogate
do
me.
that so I will be on the same page, okay? And you'll be like, okay, he understands what he understood, or at least got some of the things she was trying to say. One, I want to ask, is it correct for me to assume that you believe that there are certain people who have certain negative or evil traits, and those people are not capable of changing?
Yes.
Okay, so that is the bottom. That is where the questions I'm about to ask are going to stem from. So I don't think I need to watch to the end to get that notion correctly. Okay,
No,
so
but the important part is not that there are people like that, because the thing is that there is a the structure of a society. So the second half of my video is talking about structures of society, different structures, and what happens
mhm,
when you have power based societies. Where, like, for
okay,
example, for the demons, what they do, they measure the mana, right? So whoever has the biggest mana, he is in charge. Like,
hmm,
that's obvious for them. Like, for them, that's like their status.
hmm,
With humans, so if for example, if you take Muhammad's logic, why are women inferior to men? Because they're weaker. Like, literally,
hmm,
this is the reason, right?
hmm,
So he takes
hmm.
raw strength as your hierarchy system.
Okay. So his is
And
based on physical strength, while some is based on economic, power, right?
yes, but
Depending on
the
different.
thing is that economic power
Hmm.
is more complicated because it depends on
Okay.
how they get there. But anyway,
Okay.
I speak about, like, in the second half, I speak about what does it mean power-based societies and
Hmm.
what kind of hierarchies we can have. Like, for example, easy hierarchy would be race, right? Or like, that's is like easy. That's relatively commonly used, right? Or like
Mm.
like a religious affiliation, or like being part of a certain, like, having a sort of a caste. Like, there are a lot
Wait,
of
wait,
different.
you said there are hierarchies that are based on race. How does that look like?
Hitler had it perfectly. He had a literal, like, pyramid
Okay, okay, okay,
saying,
okay. So
like,
you,
the
yeah,
you
but now, like, let
like,
me explain.
between
Like,
two people, those who is gonna be worth more, the one with the blonde hair and the blue eyes.
they are always going to be, but also it's also important to note that in certain societies there are multiple hierarchies that play, like that is often at
Okay,
play.
everywhere, every society. That's the thing. Like, in humanity, there is no such thing, because there is intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
That's one hierarchy. There is kindness. That's another hierarchy. You have like also like your ability to cooperate. It's another one. You have like
Mm-hmm.
you have tons. Like if you just go into the intelligence, then you have like very a lot of different disciplines. So you have a lot
Mm-hmm.
of hierarchies, and that's healthy. That's normal. Like that's merit
Mm-hmm.
based. The problem
Mm-hmm.
is when you have non-merit based. Like for DEI is not merit based. It's skin color based. It's a lot of things that are crazy based. In Islam, it's not merit based. It's strength based. So when
Mm-hmm.
you actually don't have multiple hierarchies, then you start. It's not when it's not really merit based. Then it starts getting very problematic,
Okay.
and in different
So
ways.
all right. So that means the second part of your video, I 100% agree with. I think the problem is with the first part. You see,
Why
God
is
was
there a
telling me something
problem?
when He said, "Don't watch that second part. The first part is where you should just focus on. Focus on that first part and make it look like that's what the entire video is about."
No. So the
Okay.
first part. So the first part is to explain that there is a certain type of people,
Okay.
natural for that are either created sociopaths or born psychopaths.
Okay.
But you can generate sociopaths.
True.
You can also select for psychopaths. So
Okay.
when you have a strength-based society, you start having more and more people who have sociopathic
And
tendencies and psychopathic tendencies.
true.
And and that's
But
the
if you have the
second.
power, if you have this kind, it's kind of like a tyrannical society because a power-based society is
Exactly.
often
So that
tyrannical,
the
and
second
people
half
who
where
rise
I
to the top,
talk,
so and
where I
people who rise to the top of a tyranny are often psychopathic, sociopathic, just even nefarious individuals. They're the ones who thrive in that kind
for
of
example,
society.
Sinwar. Sinwar is admired, worshipped,
But he's
worshipped,
psychopathic.
but for psychopathy, for his
Yeah.
psychopathy. The dude killed with his own hands countless Palestinians,
Mm,
tortured them, cut their throats like slowly up on the sink, like the
mm,
most brutal torture ways, hanged them for weeks, brought
mm,
them down, hanged them, brought them down. You know,
mm. You guys
like the
really,
worst.
really psycho.
And he's the most heroic, most worshipped. This is what they appreciate. To them, this is
Mm,
like, wow, this human is amazing.
mm, mm.
And
That's
people
powerful.
who are not like that,
Mm-hmm.
Gazans who are born to that society and are not like that, get
Mm-hmm.
severely punished. They get disowned. They get kicked out of the house.
Mm.
And they start
Okay. So,
teaching that from a kindergarten. They start teaching sociopathy, like they start with cutting up animals,
mm,
and they start with like torturing animals, cutting animals, and then they move on to playing as if it's like a Jew. And then,
mm,
of course, there is this society like they hang people in the street,
mm,
play soccer with the severed heads. People like you have heads rolling down the market,
mm,
like you know.
mm.
And I
That's
didn't wanna, huh?
that's really like horrific stuff. Imagine that kind of society and the kind of
So
individuals it will
that's
breed.
the society, and I wanted to make a video where I don't have to talk about it too explicitly
Mm,
because using the demon, so whatever that demon girl was doing, that's exactly how they are. Like that's exactly
okay.
what they are being taught as ideal.
Mm, okay. So I think two questions are on my head, but I hope I get to the second question because usually when I ask one question, I forget the other one that is in my head. But let me ask this question: do you think people in that society are redeemable?
Hmm?
I said, do you think people in such a society, especially people like Sinwa, do you think they are redeemable?
Sinwar, no,
Now, what I mean by redeemable is not like
no, no, no,
should they
no.
not?
He's no, no. It's we don't have the technology to fix someone like Sinwar. There is
Yeah,
no
yeah, I'm not.
method. No, even if we didn't have the history he had,
Mm-hmm.
there's no way. Like we don't have this. We don't have
So
the
you believe that?
medication. We don't have the means. We didn't figure that out. It's still at the same, even worse area than figure out the cure for cancer. Like we are less.
Okay, so
We're
so
closer for to cure for cancer than to understanding how to solve a
are you
condition like
saying this
Sinwar's.
are you saying it hyperbolically or are you being serious? Let me be sure.
No,
Do
I'm
you really believe
serious.
that?
Yes,
Okay, if you are serious, then the question is
I'm
how do you
serious.
handle people like Sinwa? Even when they've
Kill
not
him.
killed a single human being.
Kill him. Kill
Okay,
him.
you believe that people like that should be killed.
Depends. So here's the thing, right?
Okay?
It
Okay.
depends. Like when in the situation of Sinwal, yes, he has to be killed. In a
Mm-hmm.
situation where it's a minority and it's a society that is structured well, just throw him to jail for the rest of his life. There is no need because it's also scary to kill someone who shouldn't be. Like the scare is, of course, judging someone to death when it's false accusations.
Mm-hmm.
But so if you can afford throwing someone like that in jail with the risk of them being a real monster, it depends on how much power they have. Sinwar has too much power to be thrown to jail. Even if you take away, like, he has too much power, he has too much influence, he has too much following, and he killed numerous people in jail as well.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a person that has to be eliminated. Like the immoral thing to do is keep a person like that alive. Every he when he leaves, every month that he lives is gonna have another person, at least one person with like gone
Be
because you
killed.
didn't take. Yeah,
I agree with you. Now, in a way, I agree with some of the things you're saying because I feel like and I think you agree with me when I say this, that we live in a society today where everybody is trying to. When I was in school, when I was studying law in school, there was this thing where we are taught there's retributive justice and restorative justice, right? So they told us that my lecturer was like, we need to move towards restorative justice, where we don't just punish people because we want to avenge, right?
yeah,
Rather, we
but
should punish them because no, I'm coming. I don't agree with him, but I'm just laying the foundation for what I want to say. But that we should punish people because or our correction system or correction institution should be to restore the individual, like transform the person, right? And why I don't agree with my lecturer is because I don't believe that. I really do not believe that it is in the position of um, correctional institutions or the jail, the prison system, the justice system. I don't think it is their responsibility to correct, to become a correct. I know they call them correction facilities, but they are not supposed to be that. They're
the
supposed to be
thing is
places that
that it
punish
is
wrongdoers.
in a sense that sometimes like somebody kills not because they're a murderer, and it's not
Okay.
something they even would do again necessarily.
Okay.
And those like correctional places can give someone after he serves his sentence, let's say, it can give him skills to get out of the situation that put him in a position where he felt like he had no other choice but to kill someone.
I understand what you're saying, but I still hold that for the most part, it is not really the job of society to do that. Like that is why I prefer, for example, that people who offer like counseling, who provide certain programs, I would rather that they are not even government agencies because I rather my taxpayer dollar is used to just punish you, and when you are done, you go out, and then we'll have NGOs and non-governmental organizations go into these prison systems and try to help these people, give them skills and whatever. I would donate to anyone that wants to do that, right? But I'm often skeptical of when it is the government who is trying to rehabilitate people because I really don't feel like it is their place to rehabilitate people. I feel it is just their place to punish people and just,
I
when you are done
it's
punishing the person, when they have served their sentence, they go out, or even make it harsh, give them harsh sentence if you have to. Because one of the reasons why I'm saying this is that you see people get, especially in places like America, where the justice system has become so lenient, extremely lenient, that you have people who are supposed to be in prison for a very long time. They are let out on certain technicalities for certain agreement. Maybe they put them on probation or whatever, because they're like, oh, these people are victim of circumstance. It's not really their fault. And the person goes out and commits another crime. And then there's another story of victim of circumstance. Somehow someone can commit a crime 4, 5, 6, 7 times, and every time is still a victim of circumstance. You understand? You have in
You
Europe
know
here,
what's an easy way to fix that?
okay?
Because people are not as stupid. They're not stupid. It's not that hard to know who can be like you say this word for me, please.
What is the word you want to
Who
say? A repeated offense.
rehabilitated? Like who can be
Prohi-
fixed?
okay, people who
Like
can
it's
be
not that
rehab.
hard. Yeah, it's not that it's not impossible to know who can be
Okay,
fixed and who won't be fixed. It's not
okay,
it's not that impossible,
all right.
right? But what's happening now that is that we have created a culture where when people are want to feel good with themselves, but they don't take the responsibility of somebody they let loose, going back to kill someone. So they face this person and they feel like, oh, we should give him a chance. And like it's a culture of virtue signaling where like, oh, look how amazing I am because I believe that we should give people more opportunities.
Okay, but some people, besides virtue signaling, and I agree with you that some of it has to do with virtue signaling. But besides virtue signaling, I believe that there are people who strongly are not okay with people going to prison, and will rather every other option be exhausted before this person face a very harsh, long sentence, even though that is what is required. I
So those
just
people should be in
hesitant.
jail themselves, shouldn't they?
Yeah, yeah. I think anybody who wants extreme
A
restorative
person
justice,
like that, they are agents of chaos. They should be in jail themselves. But like I would
really.
also say, yes, and I would also
Okay,
say
what law will you draft to throw those kind of people
we
in
do
jail?
need some system that
Okay,
punishes the system for every time criminal that gets released goes back to crime. Like a percentage of that should be on you like on the judge's that's blood on the judge's hand. Whoever released someone and
that's
that
nice. That's
like
nice, thing,
that's
but
like I
that's
that's
not
I think
necessarily
there should
proven.
be this kind of control system on the judges. Be like,
Mm.
it's not only that you also you're gonna accumulate. There are gonna be like some ranking system point where every kill that a person you didn't judge properly, or every crime of other person that you didn't judge properly, that it's
Mm-hmm.
gonna get recorded and dealt with, like somehow. I
Yeah, yeah,
think
yeah, yeah. I said it's a nice thing to think about, but enforcing it is really the problem, because you have to ask yourself, who is going to enforce it? The justice system has its issues, right? Who is going to enforce this? If you have a law like that, who is going to enforce it?
so.
Who are the people that
So
are going to decide?
traditionally, that was the job
Mm-hmm.
of the media.
Ah, well, the media want people out of prison. You see
Right
how
now, we
messed up
have
it is.
a corrupted media system, a
Mhm.
corrupted jury system, and they're working on getting the government as well.
So you see, that's kind of that's really the problem, is how do you structure. That's why I feel the best thing for me is just put everybody in prison. The government should not be in charge of rehabilitating people. Throw all of them in prison, make it easier. While they are in prison, let organizations go in
Okay.
there and try and help people out. Fund those organizations if you want to, do whatever. But everybody, you get your sentence. Why inside the prison? Then we have programs there, not run by the government, but run by NGOs. Some of them might even be funded by the government. I'm fine with that. Some of them funded by whoever wants to fund them. I'm fine with that. But let those people then go in there and render these services and stuff like that. Is for me is I am more comfortable with that than we say let the government decide how people are going to be punished, who should be given counseling, and who should be given, who should be let go, who should be let out on parole and stuff like that. I rather everybody just go to jail. And I know it may sound harsh, but I believe that to have a safe society, there are certain sacrifices we will have to make. And this is one of those sacrifices where even people that may just not require that very harsh sentence will have to face it. I feel it's one of those, and I believe that we live in a society where we are not ready to make that sacrifice. And that is why we have a media, we have a justice system, and we have every system in place that makes it that certain people, instead of serving the actual death sentence, I mean, punishment they're supposed to serve, they are let out on certain technicalities. I believe that why we have such in existence in our society is because we live in a society that is not willing to make that sacrifice.
It's a cultural thing. It's the virtue signaling thing. This is what happened. For years, America had a very strict jury system that worked. Same here. Like it worked everywhere. Like, you know, the streets were safe. You can walk in Europe everywhere during nighttime and nothing would happen to you. It's not that the judges don't have, it's not that the police people don't have a way. It's just that those systems are, the judges, like I think the first system that was taken down, like was
Affected.
affected was the jury, the jury system, at least in
Yeah, because
Israel.
you have people of your peers who are not, who in their conscience. It looks, you said it's virtue signal, but I think some people face that real difficulty of like looking at a criminal in the face, and say, you know what? Yeah, we are deciding that you are guilty, and this is what you get to face, and this is the punishment. Except when it is a very heinous crime, and
It's
the
not
the
that.
culprit is forced is not even remorseful. Then they'll be like, okay, this person is going to serve so and so sentence. Because
No.
sometimes you
Well,
see,
yeah. Like I can tell here, it's usually like a result of ideology more than it is a result of any mercy that they have for the person in front of them.
okay,
Like because the DEI ideology affects everything, and also like in Israel, like it's like, oh, like if you are being taught that certain people who are like like they don't they are just victims of the circumstances, and that's what you are being told since you're young, then
okay,
you won't be able to make appropriate judgments.
okay,
And it's not that they cannot do it. They just they do it wrongly. They have ideological based judgment system.
okay, okay, fair enough. So
Like
how do you
see
think?
how they threw Tommy Robinson without even having appropriate, like without anything, to 3 years, like right away, just 2 minutes,
Yeah,
without even
yeah,
asking him anything. And when
yeah. That one was
and when
very
they
ideological.
had and then when they had the head of the um how is it, like the grooming gang leader.
They hesitated, they covered it up,
So
they,
you want to say that the same judge has any mercy for the person in front of them because they have some sort of an empathy system? No, it's
well,
ideologically based.
fair enough. There is, I'm not saying every instance is that of is not ideological. Of course, there is the ideological component, but I still believe that there is a portion of it that has to do with people. Okay, let me give you an instance in Nigeria. In this country, since 1999, right, since the Third Republic, we've not had any government, any governor in this country there's no governor that has signed the death before somebody can be executed when they are given the death sentence. The the governor has to sign, right, for the person to be executed. And since 1999, many people have received the death sentence, but no governor in this country has signed one. And this is not a woke society. Trust me, this is not a woke society. But just to the governor is like, I do not. This person dying should not be by my pen. Should not. I don't know if you understand. So there's that weight that they have, and these are people who are very corrupt politicians. But even when it comes to sentencing somebody to the like signing just the judgment, okay, go ahead and execute it. None of them have done it for over how many years now? This is over 20 something years. Not a single governor have signed a single death What is it called? Is it death warrant or what it's called? I forgot what it's
So
called.
in an ideal system, these people are not even gonna get to the part where they're being judged by a judge. Like you wanna catch them doing the deed and shoot
Wild,
them at the
wild
place.
west.
Yes, yes.
That's what you
This is
suggest.
what the best situation where you have such a robust security system or like police
Hmm.
force and function and everything like that. When something is out of line, you can it's either like it's gonna be really rare where you don't catch it in time to shoot the person who is the trouble making the troubles, and then you don't even have to go through judgment system. You just like see, this person, it's like doing the
Well,
job. That's it.
that's in an ideal society. Well, but I don't think that ideal society is going to exist anytime soon. All right. So the
Which is
second
sad because
extreme.
this is exactly the societies that we used to have. It was
True,
obvious
true.
for
There was a time
everyone.
where yeah, there was time where we had people who there was a bounty on your head. You either get the person dead or alive, and nobody cares. The bounty has been there's already the price on your head, and you are a wanted
No,
man.
I'm not
That was
talking about the 1890s. I'm talking about the
I'm giving
1990s.
you an instance. I know that's way back, but I'm just giving you an instance of that kind
No,
of
I'm
thing.
just saying it was like that 30 years ago. It was clear for
30 years
everyone.
ago.
Nobody, yes, nobody in the USA, nobody dared to go against the police in the US, for example, or anything. They're like
Yeah, but the police
you
still
fuck
had like
around, you find out right away.
all
Like
right. All right. Okay. So the other extreme, I don't know if we reach a consensus on, what is the cause of the problem and the way moving forward. But before I go to the other extreme, what do you think then is the way forward in this society? How do you change the society in such a way that it returns to how it was, especially when it has to do with law and order, that it returns to how? By the way, restorative justice did not exist in 30 years ago, right? Sending people to rehab and stuff like that. I don't think that was a sentence that was issued out 30 years ago. People just had to face time and come out. You better change while you are there. Or you, I don't think the government was doing correctional whatever. It was just you go there, you serve your
no, you
time, and you
always
come.
had that. Corrections
They
is
always
not new. No, you had it since like there were corrections even in ancient times.
Yeah, yeah.
Not
What I
new.
mean by correction is I don't think back then, 30 years ago, people had sentences that was like, instead of facing jail time because you are 14-year-old and or no, let me not say 14, because you were 18 and you killed somebody, okay, you know what, we are going to be lenient with you and not send you to prison. Instead, you are going to be rehabilitated or something. And not and except in the case where insanity is kind of the person pleaded insanity. But in other instances, you just face your time. They will not be like, oh, let us come up with a pro. In fact, there were
Okay.
people who were as young as 16, 17, who were given the death sentence for murder back then.
Uh, I lost you.
The point I'm saying is that the justice system 30 years ago was harsher than even
Hmm.
what you are recommending today.
So right now, what's happening is that okay. So this is like in the, uh, for example, in the West Bank and places like they are not gonna judge you properly. It's also like in Georgia, they're not. So it's your job. You're. It's what we call. It's like breaking down to hamulas because you cannot
You said?
trust the system. The hamula family clans.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so you belong to a clan, and then the very clan is like it's also the same. The Jews in Jewish communities, they have their own security systems
Okay.
around like the United States and things like. They have their own security systems
Okay.
to deal with like threats, and then
Okay.
they act in a way that the local police people wouldn't.
Okay. So you believe that that's the solution moving forward?
So no, this the solution moving the best solution, right, like is to try to take over the media back, because having that going back to the solution of every person is taking law into their hands. This is where,
Mm.
so this is why it's so hard with a situation like the Arab society, like here, like in
Okay.
Gaza. You
Okay.
have clans and they kill each other day and night. You have also something that's called blood vengeance. They just carry
Okay.
that from, you know what it is?
Yeah, I know what it is. It's in the Quran. If you kill somebody, they have to kill your own too. It's
No, so
recommended
they
in the
kill
Quran.
family members.
Yeah, yeah. If you kill my
But
son, I
they do it for years, for decades.
okay.
Yeah, so just continuous, like they keep killing each other. As like the
That's
clans.
like gang violence at this point. It's like
So
American gang violence.
when you
Oh,
have
you killed my cousin, I'm going to kill your cousin too, and then I kill your
so
cousin, and
I've
then you go back to my cousin, and then we
yeah.
keep killing cousins until we are tired, until we run out of cousins. You
So
know.
if you have a society like Gaza, like an
Mhm.
Amalek society,
Okay,
that's
that's very
really
derogatory, by the way. But continue.
this is when you know how every
I said calling them Amalek is kind of derogatory, but continue.
right
That is Islamophobic, but continue.
there. It's not Islamophobic. Amalek. They weren't Muslims. They're Amalek.
Continue. Continue.
Anyway,
Continue.
this is when you have to go into nation building with all the steps that require. Like this is what Israel did. This is
Mm,
what Britain did. This is what the United States did, and they followed just the Bible. They just did it step by step. So the
okay.
Israelites started with a gang. Like a lot of people think that the initial group that was Israel is like pretty much like it it was a gang more than anything.
Okay.
And they were but then they started like their ideology started taking over and people
Mm,
started joining and they had created a nation and then they built this judgment system and they first like had the basic laws like and everybody accepted the laws but just like the story of the golden calf which is super brutal, so those who were like didn't revert like didn't go back to line, like they killed each and every one of them, like every person who wasn't like because the calf story, I think personally it's just a metaphor. It's just people that had not that were part of the receiving the agreeing on the laws, and then they
mm,
decided they don't follow the laws they all agreed on,
mm-hmm,
and they got completely eliminated
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
for that. And it's brutal because like building a society from scratch, it's really hard. So with the Japan, like the Japanese society was completely restructured by the Americans. Like they took over the education system, they changed it completely. Same with the Koreans.
Mm,
The Chinese had their own bureaucratic system that they had built. Like they rule through bureaucracy, but
mm-hmm,
the thing is like, or like it's not necessarily that you even like if you have like a community that is agricultural, they're relatively peaceful, then you
mm,
don't have to. But this is why it's like Gazans are like Amalek. It's not just a community that is relatively peaceful and they have like stupid laws that could be
mm,
corrected once like better ideas are brought in, like
mm.
other nations that were living in Israel. Like Amalek was different because they hated it's not the kind of people that would work. Gazans don't work. They don't like it's not for them.
Okay.
So that's the worst. But like because like it takes time, generations, so it's super hard. It's but so the best thing that we like so that the fear is when you try to change the system too fast, you can break down back to those kind of structures.
Mm,
But we already have a system, so the best thing right now we can do is to media is is part one, and then it's those demonstration the left took over with being a minority by constantly, like they took over the media but constantly raging, so it
mm-hmm,
works. So you have to show rage to the other direction as well. We're like, oh, you think
mm.
you're crazy, look at us, we're crazy.
Yeah,
It's
everybody
like,
equal
okay,
crazy.
so
I agree
so
with
if
you. I agree with
everybody if
that.
everybody's crazy, we
And
better
all
sit
of us.
down and talk, otherwise everybody's gonna be like,
Yeah, I look with this part you just said is something that I 100% agree with. 100 equal carnage. You want to be mad? I will be mad too. You understand? Because that is the only way to calm. People always like when we talk about protest and stuff, people see it and they're like, "Oh, this is bad. This is crazy. Look at what these people are doing." And I'm like, "Yeah, we can always sit down and talk about how ridiculous what they are doing is, but the way to counter that is the next time you know that you're going to come out to protest, organize your own protest, make it
exactly,
loud.
yeah,
This part, this silence is, people always talk about the silent majority. And I'm like, what is the point of being a majority if
it
you are
doesn't help.
silent?
If the if
If
the if the vocal minority is having like is stacking weapons, being a silent majority just makes it easy like to mass murder you. There's like
yeah, when you're
nothing
a
you can
silent
do. It's
majority,
gonna be
it is
like the fight between the Algerian and the woman. It's like 50-50, but one came with the guns and the other didn't.
yeah. So I and maybe we'll use this opportunity to employ people in the West. eh, organize, form groups. See the west, the left in every Western country is they are very organized. They are. You'll be like, okay, yes, Iran is funding them, whoever is funding them, but you don't fund people who are not organized and they will be effective the way the left are effective. They are organized is the first thing. So when you have an organization, then we'll know who to fund. If you want to fund or if you want to give money, you know who you are giving money to. You need to organize the same way the left has organized. You need to engage in protest the same way they engage in protest. You need to it needs to be a clash that this thing that happened in the streets where there will be a protest, right? And then let's say the left is doing free Palestine and all whatnot, and then the police will be like, oh, we don't want to interrupt the peace. So even when illegal stuff is going on during that protest, they will not interfere. Yeah, they can do that because they are plenty, right? Now imagine that you have people on the left doing whatever they are doing and people on the right doing whatever they are doing, and now the police is like, we cannot allow both of them to continue. For the first time in their life, you see them, they will decide that, you know what, we have to enforce the law. If this is an illegal protest, it's an illegal protest. And we cannot allow anyone left or right to do it because they're going to do it at the same day. They're going to do it in the same way. It will force the hand of these institutions. I believe strongly that if you give them equal carnage, it will force the hand of every institution to function properly. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
In fact,
The worst thing you can be is a silent majority. It's so easy to take over a silent majority because the
true.
silent majority is unorganized. Individuals are weak. We're like
True.
we're like one organism cells, not like this is also how your body is made up, okay? You have a lot of
True.
like one cells working together, but each
That
one
is
of
why
them
that
is
is why
extremely weak.
that is why you have Muslims, they are 8%, 8% of the total UK population. But they are so organized that they get whatever they want.
Exactly.
So
They
for you
also
as the majority to even get what you want, you don't need to gather everybody. Just 10% is enough, and be
yeah,
committed. Be committed to this thing. Like there was this one that I watched that happened last week, right? They arrested a guy, a police, okay, a man, I think it was a man, assaulted a female police officer in the UK at the airport, and then he was assaulted. The man who assaulted the police officer was assaulted and then arrested. And then Muslims in the community in the area did a protest and demanded that the person who assaulted the police officer be released. And the person was released. Now I'm like, the way to stop that person being released is simple. As they are protesting, asking for the person to be released, you form your own protest and say that person must not be released. Then let us see
exactly.
who they will obey. It's that simple. Then you will see for the first time that your justice system will start working like it is supposed to work. Because who do you want to upset? Do you want to upset? You realize that no matter what you do, somebody is going to be upset. Then you have to do the right thing. You
It's
have to for
also
once do the right thing.
it's gonna be funny, but like there is a reason why stoning was a chosen way of punishment. Is because it requires the whole community to agree that this person has to be stoned. It's like it's also a majority thing. Until like you
Yeah.
become until you have a system that works, and then you can stop
Mhm.
stoning. Like stoning
Yeah,
is like
even
the
in France when they were using the guillotines, it wasn't like everybody was in support of that. But most the people who were attending those events where people's head will be chopped off, we are more. The people who were not in support of it, we are quiet, of course, for good reasons because they were afraid
right.
the whole thing was violent.
Except
But
in Gaza, for example, everybody that goes to the guillotine are those who are nice people. It's literally something you get killed for. If you're a nice person, they kill you. I'm not joking. That's the society.
wow,
Like, yeah, Gazans from Gaza
mm,
say it. Like, if your kindness is like you're gonna get tortured and killed.
that's interesting.
So
So
when I
yeah, I
say
agree with
demon
you.
society is when a society turns from most of people agree that you need to punish the murderer to most
Mm.
people are murderers and agree that you have to punish the one person that
Okay, so
is against murder.
how do you think you can transform a demon society? Can a demon society be
It
transformed
has
to angelic or heavenly society?
only if you take it over 100%. Just outside force 100%. Like the way
So you're
like the
saying the
natural
way
way is
anarchy
that
is
because they will not let Israel be forever and ever because of the way they're built, right? They're not going to work, so they have to steal from the Jews. Every time they do it, they're going to get killed more and more until they disappear. That's option one.
mm.
Option two, I'm not joking, because think about it, those are unproductive societies by definition.
By
it's
definition,
it's
what you just
it's
said is
it ends
genocide
with
because
death.
okay.
What do you think is what Islam is? What do you think happens once Islam is the only power in sight, when they have no one to take from? They start murdering each other until they go extinct. Until the West came to the West, the reason you have this population growth is not
Mm.
because of is because the West intervened, changed the structure, it started giving medicine. So
Mm.
the population was like they they didn't have any control on the amount of birth, right? They didn't have that. So it exploded, but it cannot hold because right now, like, all those countries are 100% dependent. And what we see, like,
I
for example,
understand what
in
you're saying. If
Syria,
you
we have
leave those
50%,
countries, if you leave
50%
those
killing
countries,
each other.
yeah, you're saying eventually, if you leave those countries to their own device, like if you don't intervene, they will go
So
extinct,
extinct.
right?
This is what, yes. So the Middle East was, just for proportion's sake, and I give Israel as an example, but in the beginning of the 2000 years ago, there
Mm-hmm.
were something like, I don't know, like 4 million Jews, like millions of people living here.
Mm-hmm.
It went down to 100,000
Mm.
in the whole land.
Mm.
And it stopped going down when the West started sipping into the Middle East.
Mm.
So when I say it, almost like those, but it's the same thing in Syria, was completely
Mm.
almost empty. Egypt,
Mm.
Algeria, all the whole Middle East population, which is now like, I don't know, 400, 500 million, was like like a
They were dying. It was
ridiculously
a
small,
dying
like
population.
millions, like ridiculously small number of. But I don't remember
Mm.
the like 30 million. I don't know, like nothing, like
Mm.
nothing at all. And it's in areas where 1,000 years ago there was 10 times more people.
Mm.
So I'm not joking, like, I mean this, like, they go extinct. So it's
Mm.
either
No,
they get to they take over everything and they start going extinct, or they get extinct by other forces that
people.
help them.
Yeah, or the third option, which you mentioned, but I think is more important. This is where I believe that people always talk about colonialism like it's a bad thing. And this is the
Yes,
part
this
of
is
colonialism I think
colonialism. This is part of
this is the part of
colonialism.
colonialism that I feel can be good. Take over the society, re-educate them, cultural colonialism. Get rid of whatever culture exists there that promotes this. And you have to stay there for a long time. That's the thing. When you want to do cultural colonialism, you have to stay there for a long time. Okay, the British stayed in Nigeria for over 100 years, and their colonialism of their colonization of Nigeria was not complete. Okay, there are some things that I was like, you people should have dealt with this one before you left, but it's still there. It wasn't completed for over 100 years, and it was still not complete. So that is why I'm like, this is the part of colonialism that is good. Listen, which is one of the things you said about the French that I was like, well, there are certain things about a culture that is bad. It is bad. Just
Listen,
it
the
is bad.
Belgians were awful.
Wrong, and it needs to stop. And you see, cultures, there are superior cultures, there are inferior cultures. I'm not. Many African cultures are inferior cultures. These are cultures that will continue poverty, starvation, hunger, lack of human development. There is nothing wrong in admitting that. It doesn't make you racist. It's just the truth. Certain cultures cannot survive for a long time. They will die out.
And the funny thing is that Islam, for some areas, was an improvement. Because just by introducing halal, they stopped cannibalism.
Powerful.
Yeah, I'm not joking. There were areas where Islam looked super progressive, extremely progressive, because how prevalent cannibalism was.
As you mentioned cannibalism, it just reminded me. Do you know I'm from a sub-ethnic group in Nigeria known as Ungwa. Ungwa tribe. I'm from a tribe called Ungwa tribe in Igbo land. And there's something we are notorious for. Guess what that is?
Don't know, cannibalism?
Cannibalism, actually.
So you're a cannibal?
No, I'm not. My people before me were, they were cannibals. They ate human beings. So
and the thing is that people don't understand that if they actually look at population growth of history, until we started inventing culture, the population didn't grow. Humanity went extinct almost several times. Until we didn't learn how to build cultures and how to behave, we were just all the time on the brink of extinction.
Yes. And I agree with you. So it is, if you care about Palestinians, you don't want them to go extinct, then you should advocate for US Western colonization of the area.
Let's be honest. I think it's Israeli colonization of. I think
Okay.
it should be
Israel,
us.
They will not allow you people. You want to once you
No, I don't
already
trust Americans.
have
I don't trust the
reputation, right?
Europeans. I don't trust
I
them.
don't trust them either because they are going to inflict them with woke mentality.
Yes, exactly. That's like from one type of zombie to another type of zombie. No,
type
thank
of
you.
zombie. Yeah, they're going to make them so communist that you will not even believe it.
It's the same thing though.
So
Like, come on, like DEI wokeism. It's just as
it's the
it's
same thing as
another. It's the same
the
thing.
mentality that Gazans have. Yeah, true. All right. So now we've talked about the society aspect of fixing a demonic society. Now, how do you fix a demonic individual? Because you recognize that there are certain individuals that have something you see as a pathological issue that cannot be fixed, and the only way forward is to kill them.
Right.
And I tend to disagree because I believe that like I said earlier, I don't believe it is the job of society to fix people, of the government, of various governmental
So you
institutions
have to kill them
to fix
then.
people. Okay, but I don't also believe that. Of course, certain people, if they need to face the death, they need to face capital punishment. They should face capital punishment. I'm not opposed to capital punishment. What I'm opposed to, or what I don't believe, is that people cannot change.
It depends on who.
I believe that this
And
is why
even
I
if
believe
they cannot change, it doesn't mean they can still be the same cannibal man-eating people from the inside. But they can be in a place where they know they cannot realize it.
or
Like,
let me put
like
it like
it can
okay,
be like,
let me
there are a lot of ways. It's like societal, like first of all, like, if, like you can have the punishment of Cain, where he
the
killed his
punishment of
brother.
Cain.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He had a mark
I
on
understand.
him.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying this is what I'm saying. You're saying certain people can, or part of what you're saying is that There's certain societal structure that will make certain psychopathic behavior not become promoted or become visible. Where, yeah, somebody may be a sociopath, a psychopath, but because they exist in a particular society, they will have to repress it. But they are still sociopaths and psychopaths.
Yes.
Okay. But I have a different view of this because
No, because it's a disease. It's a brain disease. Like,
I
and
hear you.
and it depends on the thing, but we don't have medication for it.
Yeah. I hear me
And
out.
it,
Hear
it
me
and
out.
it can also be a brain structure as well.
I hear you. Hear me out then. Hear me out. Okay. So there's this story. Okay. It happened in the Jewish community. It happened in Israel. You understand? Some years ago, right? I don't know if you are aware of this story, but it's a story that I've read. Okay. So
No,
during
here
the
we
growth
kill
of
them.
Christianity, I'm coming. Just I'm coming. During the growth of Christianity, the beginning era of Christianity in Israel, in Jerusalem, as it was spreading to various parts of Israel, right? There were Jewish religious groups that were not okay with it. We are not okay with the spread, right? So they will arrest certain preachers, arrest them, beat them, and then release them and stuff like that. But there was this particular Pharisee, okay? He took it upon himself to really, really persecute Christians, really, really persecute them. Okay. He will go from door to door, house to house, find a Christian, drag them, and throw them into prison. Okay. He was doing this going from door to door. In fact, there is a popular Christian in that era that goes by my surname. His surname is Stephen. And Stephen was stoned to death. And when Stephen was stoned to death, this particular Jew was the one who mobilized the stoning. He was the one who organized it, right? So, and it was something he was doing,
It's
traveling
is
from
it
city to
real?
city, town to town. Let me finish my story.
No,
He was
because
going
it
from
goes
city
it
to
goes
city.
against Judaism, so it's very, very weird to me.
Let me finish my story now. Then the temple has not been destroyed. Okay, the temple in
No,
Israel,
no,
the,
even
the
at the
temple
time
that
of
Herod
no,
was
even
still
back then,
was
it was not. It
okay.
was
Okay,
wasn't part of the
okay.
culture.
Let us take your word for it. But this is what was
No,
written. Okay, so he was going from places to places, killing people. He was on his way to where was he on his way to now? That was he on his way to Damascus? I think he was on his way to Damascus to continue his persecution rampage, right? Now, based on this person's personality and what he's doing, you can see that this person have a psychopath. There's a psychopathic. This is not normal for somebody to take it upon himself, going from house to house, dragging people, throwing them in prison, killing some of them, organizing the stoning of some of them. You understand? This is not
I don't.
somebody who you would consider a normal functioning member of society, right?
It won't pass in a Jewish society. There is no way for it. It was never like accepted such like that kind of behavior.
I'm just saying, will you consider that person somebody who is psychopathic? That's the point I'm saying.
Yes, sounds like it.
Okay, okay, good. So now this person was on his way to Damascus. As he was on his way, the story has it that a light shone on the person. He fell on his horse, and then he had a vision. He saw God in his vision, and God told him, "You are persecuting me," right?
Mm,
And after that encounter, his life changed. He stopped killing people, okay?
right.
And he even became a Christian and became one of the most popular Christian that many Christians talk about. In fact, he wrote most of the New Testament letters.
Who is that? Paul?
Paul.
You know he was not Jewish.
Paul was not Jewish.
He lied
Paul
about
was a
it. He,
Pharisee.
he was not Jewish. Like there is a traces of his, he was not Jewish.
Paul was not Jewish. What's your
Mm-mm.
proof for Paul not being Jewish? Why do you say
He
Paul
was
was not
born in
Jewish?
Turkey, and then because it was like studies have been dealt. He was clearly a person he wasn't Jewish.
Paul was not Jewish. Why do you say Paul is not Jewish? What does it
He
mean
was
to be
not
Jewish?
Jewish. He wasn't
Why? What does it
Jewish.
mean?
He wasn't Jewish. He
Based
wasn't
on
part of
what?
the
You say he
Jewish.
wasn't Jewish.
Based
Tell
on
me
the
something.
fact that he wasn't Jewish. He wasn't part of the Jewish people. He wasn't Jewish. He didn't even convert to Judaism. He was not Jewish.
Why do you say Paul was not Jewish?
Because I checked it.
You said
He's the
okay. What
most.
did you say?
Paul is the most hated character in the
Mm-hmm.
Jewish history. You
Okay.
know how people joke about like the Talmud making fun of Jesus? Well,
Mm.
the Talmud sometimes makes fun of Jesus, sometimes criticizes Jesus. But all in all,
Okay.
the Talmud doesn't hate Jesus. They hate
Okay.
who they hate with passion?
Mm-hmm.
Paul.
Mm-hmm.
They hate Paul with
Why?
passion.
So
Because
what the
for
Talmud
Jude,
says about
for the Talmud, he was the worst human ever.
okay, why?
Because he was an rabid anti-Semite.
Why is he a rabid anti-Semite?
Because he wasn't Jewish. He wasn't a Jew.
He
He
wasn't a
hated
Jew.
Jews. No,
Paul was a Jew. By
he
every
was
account in the New
not.
Testament you
Because
use.
he claimed to be he lied. He pretended to be a Jew, but he wasn't.
And okay,
So to
wait, let me
get
understand.
so
Let
to
me
have
understand.
so
We
his,
are not even questioning the Jewishness of Paul. I'm just talking about his conversion, not even the Jewishness, whether he was anti-Semite.
he converted to Christianity, but so
Not
that
the
he would
conversion
have.
to Christianity, the conversion from being a psychopathic person to being
I
an
thought,
evangelist.
like, if you ask Jews, he stayed up psychopathic person. Like for Jews, that didn't change,
Fine, fine. Call him
and
whatever you
he
want to
is
call
the worst person ever for the Jewish, like
him.
in the
Okay,
like.
congratulations. The point I'm trying to make is let's not deviate because at this point I feel
So
like
so
first
he
of all I
lied.
want
He
to say
lied
that
that he's
I
Jewish
do
so
not
that people
agree.
would listen to him. He pretended to be a Jew to get legitimacy, but he was not a
I don't
Jew.
think Paul that is you and your Talmud saying that, but I don't see any evidence for the fact that Paul was not a
No, there
Jew.
are. I just checked. Like
Send me
there are
something. Send me
scholars who
something.
say that.
Send me a link or
Like
something.
because I checked recently. Is like
Okay.
more likely he more likely than not is like that. It's more likely than not that he just lied about being Jewish.
It's more likely than not that he lied about himself being a Jew.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Let me show you my scripture about
Like he
uh
lied. The thing is, like he fabricated his past or something.
so he fabricated his Jewishness.
I, it, like this is what the last time I
This is the
checked
most
that.
ridiculous stuff I've
The
ever
thing
heard
is,
in
like
my
everything is said, everything he spoke was against everything that came out of this person was against Judaism, was against the
it was
Jewish
against
law.
Judaism. Then the same thing can be said
Everything he
about
wrote, no,
okay.
everything he wrote, no, Jesus went by Jewish law 100%.
You can no. Okay, so what are the things that Paul said that you say okay went against Judaism that you make you believe that he was a fake Jew?
I listen. I don't remember right now. I checked it just because it bothered me. I can promise you for sure like that he
All right, I
was
want to
like
see the links that you suggest, but
he is
I do not
he is
agree with
in Jewish. It's not like it's my. I can tell you in Jewish tradition is this man is hated, is the number one. Is like it's like
I'm
back
not
then Hitler didn't exist, but if he existed, is like Hitler character for
yeah,
the
according
Jewish
to
people.
historical record, he was also persecuted by Jewish people. They tried to kill him multiple times. They imprisoned him multiple times. They
Yeah,
sent him
so that makes
to Rome.
sense.
Yeah, so that's why when you people say when you said he was hated by the Jews, I'm like, okay, but why? It's not because he was a fake Jew. It's because he was a
No,
radical
I think he was
Christian.
also a fake Jew. At least
How do you
at
prove
least
he
I
was
don't
a
know.
Jew?
I don't
Was
know.
he
This
born in
is what I
America?
read. This is what I
Or
read.
where was he born? I'm
That
not even sure where he was.
that research believe that more likely than that there is a good chance that he wasn't actually Jewish. But like I don't. This is what I read. I also thought
Where
that
the-
he was Jewish, but then recently I was like, I should check who from the apostles were Jewish, and I checked, and I was like, so okay, he claimed to be Jewish, but more likely than not, he wasn't actually.
all the apostles were Jewish, all of them.
No,
There was
not
not a
all
non,
of them.
there was not a single
No, no.
non-Jewish
I
apostle.
one of the
Okay,
like not all of them.
okay,
I don't
maybe
remember who was who, but
but most of them, maybe Matthew, who was the tax collector,
I
wasn't
think
Jewish. I'm not sure,
Matthew was
but
Jewish.
most of them were Jewish.
I don't remember. I don't remember who is what, but let me check. Anyway,
Help me
let
now.
me tell you, whatever. This is some like this is Paul is a despicable character, 100%. If you ask the
According,
Jews, he should have like before and after he was converted
even according to
from.
Wikipedia, he was from a devout Jewish family based in the city of Tarsus. one of the largest center for trade in the
Let me check
Mediterranean coast,
Paul.
and renowned for his university. Tarsus had been amongst the
Yeah,
influential cities in
but
Asia Minor
let me see.
since the time of Alexander the Great, who died in 323 BC.
Massos. So no,
Paul
like,
even
so
Paul referred to himself as being a stock of Israel, of the tribe of Benjamin, a Hebrew of the
no.
Hebrews, as touching the law, a Pharisee. The Bible reveals very little about Paul. Acts quote Paul referring to his family by saying he was a Pharisee, born of Pharisees. Paul's nephew, his sister's son, is mentioned in Acts 23, verse 16. In Romans 16, verse 7, he stated that his relatives,
This is what he
Andronicus,
claimed. This is what he
Christians
claimed.
before he
This is
was,
what he
and was
claimed.
prominent amongst the apostles.
Yeah, but this is what he claimed about himself.
So this is some of the things that I just mentioned here was written by Luke. Luke is not Paul. Luke is talking
Whatever,
about Paul.
yes, but that those are like, but you know, there are more than Christian sources. Like like there are Jewish scholars that like believe that he came, like he was a pagan family, and the thing is that he was interested from, like, he studied the religion. Just that's it. And then he claimed to be Jewish, but there is a chance he
And he was
wasn't.
trained under Gamaliel, who was a prominent Jewish. He was trained under Gamaliel, a prominent um, Gamaliel the elder, leading a leading authority in the Sanhedrin in the early first century. Was the fourth son of Simeon, the grandson of the great Jewish teacher Hillel the elder. That is the person that Paul trained under. Come on, don't do this. No,
Hmm?
you don't do this.
I
But you
don't,
might hate Paul for obvious
listen,
reasons.
it's not that
But
it,
don't do
like,
that.
whether, okay, whether, if he was
Abuse.
Jewish, it was Jew, like those Jews that go and participate in a pro-Hamas protest. Like
Say
this kind
Jews
of a
that
person.
participate in what now?
Yeah, there are people,
I
there are
didn't hear what
Jews
you
who
said.
go to
Sorry.
the pro-Hamas protest. There are people who are technically born to a Jewish family and they go to the pro-Hamas protest. The
Even
thing is
this
that
you are saying is
that
even
there is
beside.
there it's okay, it's like, okay, according to like Jewish, like Israeli Jewish scholarship, there is a chance that he lied about his Judaism, but everything he said and
Okay.
done was against the Jewish tradition, against Jewish law.
Okay, let me ask you. Was crucifying Jesus against Jewish tradition?
Of course, it's a Roman execution method.
No, I'm not talking about the execution of Jesus. I mean the Jewish authority at the time finding Jesus
There
guilty of
are four death punishments in Judaism,
okay.
and the thing is that like there were never like as strict Sanhedrin is a hundred that will killed one person in 70 years. That was the thing. It's like if a court just a person to death, there's like that would be like the strictest court ever, because this is how rare death penalties were. But
Okay.
none of them are crucifixion. Like there are
I
possible,
agree that it's
like,
not. I agree that it is
but
not
none of them are
crucifixion. But you have to
crucifixion.
understand that those people, the Sanhedrin then did not have the authority to carry
They,
out that because we are under the Romans. So they had to give it over to the Romans. And what they
but
told the
it's
Romans was the person is committing treason because he calls himself the king of the Jews.
the thing is that the Romans forced the Jews to select one community leader. It was either Jesus or another person.
No, no, that's not what happened. It was they wanted to release one person. Is it that Jesus or Barnabas? Both of them were criminals,
I don't
or both of them
listen.
were
Listen, but
considered criminals.
let's. I don't. I'm not an expert in Christian theology. A lot of things were rewritten and are a lie, because they needed to frame the Jews so the Romans would accept Christianity. So like it's reality though, it's true.
All right, all right, all right. Give the opinion. I don't agree with that opinion. I don't agree with that
It's
interpretation.
not that I know what
I feel
happened.
like
Maybe
I feel
Jews
like
did
it
it,
is
maybe
it is a
not.
conspiracy
But
theory.
Paul, everything Paul did was against Judaism. Everything.
It's not my point is not my
And but
point
there
of
are
bringing out
Hamas
are you
loving
going
Jews right now, so you know it's just.
point I'm trying to make is not about his Jewishness. The why I
If
brought
so,
out
if you ask me, it doesn't. He never repented. He should have, like, he never repented. You think that he repented because you're Christian, so you think once he accepted
no.
Christianity,
Okay,
but
okay,
actually, when
okay,
he
okay,
converted Christianity, it became worse according
okay,
to Jewish
okay.
tradition.
All right. Okay. The reason why I brought up Paul's story was not to even say, oh, Jews are bad, Jews kill people. It has nothing to do with
Yeah,
that. It
but
was
it's a
just,
fabricated story that you see that even here we say, okay, you think he, but no, he didn't
but
repent.
okay, fabricated. Maybe I shouldn't have brought up the story. Wrong
So
story.
because there
I
is
want
a
to ask you
similar,
something.
there is a
I
story
want to ask you
that of a
something.
person that
I want to ask you
repented
something. I
in the
want to ask you
Talmud.
something. I want to ask you something. Have you encountered people who have lived very, very rough, terrible lives, who have
Mm-hmm.
done horrible things in the past? And when I mean horrible, I'm not talking about people who, let's say, they stole. I'm talking about people who were guilty of murder, who have really, really done, as if they had blood on their hands.
Yeah, I know someone who
And
I killed.
I'm not saying they killed in war, they were fighting in the
No,
IDF.
no,
I
no,
mean,
no,
like,
no, no,
okay,
no.
so and you see them and you realize that this person has really turned his life around. Is there no instance of such kind of people?
No, he wasn't like he wasn't a criminal to begin with. He was just in an area where it's kill or die.
Okay, so you have not met such kind of people.
No, like I mean,
Well,
somebody like that would be David Wood, for example. I guess.
you said?
I like. I think the thing. It depends. It really depends.
Okay, I have had testimonies of people who have really been involved. Like I've seen
People
testimonies of people who
change.
were
I don't think that people don't change, but it takes a
okay.
severe trauma for people to change.
Okay, so you believe that for people to change, it has to be severe trauma that will happen to
But
them,
not
and then
everybody can change.
I don't believe
S-
that. I don't believe that.
Some. You have a survivor bias.
What is my survivor bias? What is the
Is
survivor
that you
bias?
want one person that changed, but on one person that changed, there are 100 that didn't.
Yeah, I believe that. See, listen, I'm not saying everybody will change. I'm not of the opinion that everybody
Okay, so
will
some
change.
people cannot
Well,
change.
you
That's the
cannot tell
thing.
who will and who will not.
Well, you can do like a math, mathematics. It's like, are
Okay.
you willing to take the risk that this person will not change or not? This is the question.
The point I'm trying to make is not that, oh, because people can change, therefore society should organize itself in a particular. I'm just saying, the point I'm trying to make with the possibility of people changing is that as much as it does not happen often, as much as it does not happen all the time, okay,
Uh-huh.
it
Almost
doesn't take
agree.
away from the fact that it can happen, and that if there's
Okay.
somebody you believe, like, if there's somebody you're trying to reach out to, whether the person has not engaged in any act of psychopathy or whatever, or sociopathic behavior, and you have this feeling that this person has that tendency, or even if you are
Okay.
somebody who works in the field of psychology, and you believe somebody has certain tendency, people can change regardless of their mental pathological state.
Okay.
Okay, and the reason why I'm saying this is because maybe the reason why I'm saying this is because I'm a Christian and I believe in the saving power of Jesus Christ. I believe because I've had testimonies of people who have really been redeemed. Okay, it's not something that is unheard of. I've seen testimonies upon testimonies. So I believe that, and I'm not saying, oh, if somebody is engaging in something nefarious or has done something criminal in the society, just lead the person to Jesus and then release him back to society. No, I believe that person, even when he repents, should face the sentence that is due to the person, right? I'm not saying that you should have a society of people just, or if somebody commits a crime, you introduce them to Jesus, they repent, you kick them back into society. No, they should serve their punishment. I believe even those people should serve their punishment. It's part of what is required, is the just requirement of the law. They should serve it. Okay. But I'm just saying, I want us still as a society to still have that understanding. And maybe it's because I'm coming from a Christian worldview and a Christian mindset, that people can be saved. It's not just change, but can be saved. And I believe strongly that it's not in medical
Okay. So what?
advancement,
Who cares?
advancement
So
in
they can be
psychology.
saved.
Okay.
So what?
Yeah, I'm just saying is a mindset that people should have. I'm not saying Is a mindset people should have.
Okay, so you're gonna risk living your whole life like hoping that somebody
No,
who
I'm not.
beats you at home
I'm
is
not saying
gonna
we should put
change.
society as a risk based on
It's
that.
it's
I
a
don't
it's
know if
a it's a problematic mindset to have.
it's not.
But
I don't think it is.
it
I
is.
think
It's just not, it's not your, like, you cannot hope for it. It's there, like, it's, if they change, they change, okay. But you
true,
cannot calculate that, you cannot like make calculation on the assumption that somebody would change.
true. I'm not. I'm
Okay.
not disputing. I'm trying to make people understand that you can hold two opinions at the same time. One, you can hold the opinion that there are people who are really bad and nefarious and deadly to society and have
Right.
done a lot of terrible, horrible things and deserve to be
Mm-hmm.
punished severely. Okay, you can hold that mindset and still
Right.
hold the mindset that people, even those people, can change
Okay.
and that
May
people
they
are not
change
that.
and meet heaven.
You said
Like, may they change and meet heaven. I don't care.
you should okay. All right.
Like, why is it
Anyways,
my problem? Okay, so they
I
can
think
change. So what?
yeah, I think this is where we differ because
Why does
uh
it matter? What would you conduct differently? Because people can change.
I'm not saying we should.
You know, when people change, the
This is
best
what
is
I
like
this is
if
why
they have a gunpoint
this
in
is why
their
I
head,
think this is
suddenly
why I
they
think
become very complicit. That's
this is
if
why
people change.
this is why I believe that this opinion is this mindset is necessary because uh you somebody that is hearing me now or hearing us as we speak now may have a relative because I know it's always going to be real when you have a relative that fits this description, right?
Mm,
You may have a relative, you may have a loved one, you may have a family member, friend, or something,
right.
right? And you discover that this person, this relative of yours that you love so much, actually is a terrible, horrible person,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, and you might be wondering, is there hope for this person? I'm not
Well,
saying is there hope beyond. I'm coming. I'm not saying is there hope beyond. Like, can this person ever become a functioning member? Or can he? Let's say the person have done terrible things. Will the person be accepted back into society? No, that's not the kind of hope I'm talking about. I'm talking about hope in the beyond this word sense of hope, right? Hope against hope. I don't know what that means, but it means something when I said it in my head. Okay,
does this hope make it possible for, like, does it make you a vulnerable?
it shouldn't make you a vulnerable person. It
So
shouldn't
if it
put you
doesn't,
in
if
a
you know how to put boundaries, you can hold that hope, whatever.
yeah, you can't hold that hope, and I don't want people to lose that hope because I don't think it
Why?
is wonderful for us to live in a society where we don't hope that people can change. Somehow, I just don't think it
No,
is
but you
wise
have
for
to
us to
put
live in that society.
boundaries, and then it's not your
Yeah,
problem.
you said
Like, listen, even the worst people can be fun. It's like small quantities. If you know how to put boundaries, you don't care if they're awful or not.
well, I care if they are. Sometimes I do care if some people are awful, and I would love for them to change, to be redeemed, to be transformed.
You know, the
You understand?
awful people feed off your energy and your attention.
No, feed off. I don't understand what you mean by feed off my energy and stuff.
Like, the more you try to change them, the more awful they become. The more they eat
I'm
out of your
not saying
energy and attention.
this is where you get. You think I'm saying that I
They're
should
like,
change,
you know,
or
the
that's not what I'm
Sasanim
suggesting.
from Harry. Did you read Harry Potter? Did you watch Harry Potter?
I read like two books. I was two books in, and I was like, I don't think
So there is
magic is for
like this magical character that just suck the life out of you.
me. Yeah, I know what they're called. They have a veil and stuff. They're
Yeah.
dark inside. Like when you look at them, they're dark, and then when
Mm-hmm.
you look at them, it's okay. What are
Yeah.
they even called? What's the name? Is it like a ghoul or something? I don't know what they're called.
So they eat out of your like force of life.
Okay.
A lot of people who are awful are like that. So you need to
Yeah,
set up
well,
your boundaries, because if they can eat out of your happiness, they're gonna eat your happiness away. Just
yeah.
because they live out of it, like it gives them the ego boost, the happiness
Yeah,
that
and
they're,
there are people who have a light that darkness cannot, you know,
yeah,
consume. Yep.
the mentors. That's their name. People are writing in the chat.
Yeah, dementors, that's their name. Yeah, dementors. And
Yeah,
I'm just
I'm
saying
just saying.
that there are people who have a life or a light that darkness cannot consume.
It if only if you have boundaries. If you don't go get too close.
I agree with
If you
you.
put like if you put you do things in moderation, if you don't feed their egos, if you don't fall into their self-pity, if you don't go to that direction, if you say, hey, if you're gonna sit there and try to guilt trip me, I'm cutting off and going. And it's like you don't even say it, you just get up and leave. Then there is then it's okay because you're
I
like
also feel on your
minimizing
part.
the amount of like damage you're getting.
Yeah, I also feel on your part that you kind of have the attitude of I'm not here to try to uh okay, it's kind of complicated because on one hand you believe in restoration in a form of it, not completely. You believe in a form of okay, there are certain people who
Let's
we should
say,
not. You said
you know, when people like that can change, is like when you put on boundaries and they miss you or they something like that, and they don't like they used to be like, okay, I then maybe if they feel threatened with your about your relationship and it's important to them, but you put your boundaries, then they can start maybe changing to be like, hey, why this person doesn't want to be in relationship with
okay, so
me.
you believe that they can. Okay, now you are believing that they can change. Progress.
But,
I've
but,
achieved progress.
but you
Thank you,
have to put
Jesus.
those boundaries, and there is a chance that those
Oh
people
well,
would
we've made
rather
progress.
cut you off. I
Mm-hmm.
have a person and that I know is like that, that
Mm-hmm.
he put boundaries, and his mother cut him off.
Okay.
You know, she's like, okay, I don't care, man. You live your life, I live mine.
Okay, but you've seen people that you put boundaries and they work and they're like, I value this relationship and I change.
It is possible. But
All right.
but
Progress.
don't be fooled. Like don't be fooled
Don't
because
be
they
fooled
might be
into.
pretending. Like you have to keep your boundaries, you have to set up rules, like very like narrow-minded, just keep your boundaries. That's it.
All right, fair. My point, at least to a degree, I've gotten you to admit that certain
Yeah,
people can change.
but that the thing
People
is
are
like
temporary.
there is a cost function. You know what's a cost function?
Explain. I don't know. Maybe I know, but explain to me.
What is the best outcome? What's the worst outcome? How much
Okay.
energy do you have to or like how much resources does it take to reach the best outcome?
Mm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and then what are the chances to get to, and you multiply it and you're like, okay, but is it like, you know, like the at some point, like, is the best outcome worth the all the resources you have to get? And it's not even guaranteed. Like for 50-50%, like let's say it's 50-50,
Mm-hmm.
you would have you the price would be you have to give up on your own life. 50-50. Is it worth
Okay.
it, or is it better to cut ties? The same thing when it comes to punishment. Like if there is 50% chance that they're gonna go and kill 100 people, that's 50
Mm.
people dead. It's better to kill one, right? Statistically, that's how you used
Yeah,
to.
I agree. Yeah, society can organize itself in that way, but individuals
So
should not always.
individuals as well, because you
No,
also
what I
have to
mean,
decide for yourself how much of your life, how much of your
well,
happiness, how much of your resources you are willing to sacrifice for the
mm.
hope of a person that you love changing.
Or you just pray for them and expect that God is going to
Okay,
work it.
if you just pray and then you put your boundaries, then you don't pay anything. It doesn't cost
Yeah,
anything.
yeah, but you see, one thing about prayer is that you have to hope for it. You see, this is how faith works. You see, that's why
Okay, so does this hope?
stressing the importance of being hopeful. Is that for you to pray for somebody to change, you have to be hopeful. You have to have faith that that person can change. So
Okay, so the other question is that when you pray too much towards one thing, it can blind you towards other things you should also pray towards. That might
not
actually
like you're going to. This is your prayer. You
be worth it.
no, that's not true.
That's your decision to make, man. Like it's not my
No, no,
decision to
that's
make.
not true. That's not true. I've had. Look, uh, my a close relative of mine. I don't want to mention what the position the person has in my life, but he has somebody who was really living a very rough life, and he took it upon himself to pray for the person to get changed, to turn his life around and stuff. And he prayed for a very long time. It wasn't just 1 year, 2 years, it was a lot of years, but the person eventually changed. So
Yeah, that's narcissism.
what part of narcissism is that? Praying for the
If it
person for
takes
that long.
say 5 years, 10 years, that's getting out of narcissistic tendencies.
Why do you say that?
No, just like as from studying psychology. Like this is when you
So
treat
wanting
people
somebody to
some
change and praying for the narcissism on whose part? The person praying or the person being prayed for?
prayed for. Because you said like he
That's
was in a tough condition. A lot of time you develop narcissistic tendencies, and then to get
what I mean.
out of that behavior, it takes
Hmm.
like several years of treatment. A person, if he changes environment, might get out of it by after several years.
All right, that's a good way to look at it from a psychological standpoint. I just gave you my spiritual analysis.
Yeah, I'm
My
just saying
God.
that there are worse things. Like it's all on a spectrum.
Yeah,
Narcissism on a
and I
spectrum,
also
and
believe that
psychopathy is a completely different animal.
okay, and I also believe that uh, you know the salvation of one man is worth it, right? Like there's the saying in heaven that there is joy in heaven when his soul is won. There's rejoicing in heaven. We there's this
It's not
parable.
like it's you shouldn't necessarily give up on someone that is dear. Like, but there is like it's also like resources. It's like is it worth it?
That's what I'm
Because
saying. Like, it's worth it for people to change. Change people, getting people
no, is
changed.
it worth? Because
Repenting,
if
getting
you
people
have
to repent.
to
It's worth it.
you praying. Are they people like how many years of you thinking of them 10 minutes a day are they worth? Like, is it worth? Like, is it for the
Yeah, they
rest
are
of your life?
human beings. It's still
Like,
human beings we are talking about. Don't you recognize that? Don't you
hmm?
think human beings changing and repenting is valuable? Just in of itself valuable. Or maybe for
it's
me the
it's
value comes
just
from
it's just that like as people like we are social animals and we are looking for by we're hoping that by them changing that would give us confirmation, like they would give us the love that we give them and we want from them so much.
no,
Some
that is not why you want people to change. You want people to change because okay,
Yeah,
first of
maybe
all, I
if
want people
you're
to
just
change
stuck with
because
them in the same cell in jail, then yes, you want to pray for them because you come on.
all right. I believe that we are coming
Like
from two different worlds.
it's
I'm
like
looking
it
at
depends.
I'm looking at it as a Christian, right? I'm looking at it as a Christian who believes that people repenting and being saved will give them an eternal reward that is beyond this world, and it is the best gift anybody can ever give to them. The
Yeah,
best
but
thing that
it's
can ever.
funny to me that you don't believe that the state should be work on trying to redeem people, but you're
Yeah, yeah.
willing
I don't
to.
because I believe they don't have the power to. That's the thing about that's
It's
the
okay.
difference.
So
Like
neither do you,
yeah, I'm not saying I
honestly.
do. I'm not saying I
Okay,
do.
good.
I believe the power to change people is with God. Then you pray to God
Yeah.
and then
Okay.
you
Sure.
talk to the people and don't give up on them and still, show them acts of love and kindness to the best of your ability. Not that you like you said, not that you're
Okay. So
about
this is scary because they can murder you if you show them too much kindness.
well you try to be careful about it. But look,
This is why I
see,
say like this is you have to be more
if
like
I want to
it's
mention
hard.
something. I want to mention something. There's something you just said, and I want to mention something. If the people who brought Christianity to Nigeria, for example, had this mindset that you have,
Hmm.
then we would not be African societies would not be many of them.
Do you
Someone
think they
like
did
you would
not
not be where
persecute
I am
those
today.
who didn't follow through?
He said,
Do you think they didn't persecute those who didn't follow through?
I don't
The
understand what
church, the first of all, the church like Judaism, there are ways to deal with people like that.
you don't understand what I'm saying. You don't understand what I'm saying. I'm saying if
Mm.
people thought the way you thought, like, oh, if I show these people love, if I try to, win them over, I may lose my life. So therefore, it is not worth it. I'm saying if that was the mindset that the Christian missionaries who came to Africa had, you will not be talking to me right now.
Yeah, but that's different. They
Those
work
people
with a
were willing
community,
to
not with
risk
a
their life.
individual.
Yeah, I'm just saying that an individual having that mindset is not a bad thing. It is not bad. I
If
know
you
of
work with a
Christian.
community, yeah.
You said.
Also, they did it for themselves. It gave them some satisfaction to do that. That's another thing.
Whatever
It's
you want
like
to say out of why they did it, maybe psychoanalyze them all you want. But I'm just saying, if
it's a good thing.
self-preservation is all
Somebody
every
paid for them to do that. So amazing. That's their job. Great. The psychologists also do that and they get paid for it. So one like yeah, good.
so people paid for the missionaries to kill themselves. To I mean, to end up dying in
Duh.
the process of preaching the
Yeah,
gospel.
of
I
course.
think that's all it is to everything that they did.
But it's part. It's they get rewarded for it. It's not like just
But
a
what's the
pitfall of.
reward? What is the
It's
reward
not
of
just a
killing?
dark hole of like they throwing their hopes, and then like
I don't even understand what you're saying.
I'm just like saying that it's not like that straightforward.
Yeah, straightforward in what way? I'm just saying these people gave their life. They
Also,
died for
sometimes
something.
people don't have a chance. Like it's better do that than and accept like death because you're one in a million. Sometimes it's a
You really
choice.
need to you really need to read stories of Christian missionaries. Just you like to read. I just read stories, some of the
I know
biography of Christian
Christians
missionaries from
think
West Africa,
the
and so
the
many of the things they had
Christianity
to
is the Christmas tree of virtue signaling. I know what it is. I don't.
just read about Christian missionaries and see some of the things they did and understand that it's
Listen,
not.
it's okay. It's okay.
And just look how
Shauna,
they
in
no, just
Scotland,
look.
it was cow-based, which is why the clans would raid each other cows. Perfect. Thank you, Shauna. A funny comment. You see, Scotland, like the amount of cows you have, or those who can ride the cows the best were like
All right.
Turks when they can't still create cities and technology are forced to actually create civilization. Yep. Ayatollah, thank you. Jax gave 5 memberships. Thank you so much, Jax. And
Yeah.
also, she's saying, this is not the time to be silent. We have voices for a reason. Be proud of truth and stand up for it. Yes, do it.
Mm-hmm.
And Shauna Thompson, in my experience, people don't change because of boundaries. They change because of something in their life teaching them the hard lesson. Yeah, usually they need trauma. Set boundaries for you. Rebecca is queen. Yeah, boundaries is for yourself. Like it
Okay.
has to be like something hard, or if you is someone like if they see you as really important, like something like really like crazy important, they might like feel that this is enough of a trauma or hard time for them to try to change. But like I said, like I have a friend who his mom was just like whatever, she just cut him off. So and that's his mother. So yeah.
Okay. Is that what the super chat? I thought you've read all of them.
Hmm?
Are
Yeah, I
there more
just read
super chat?
this. I got the yeah. I went through a super chat. Thank you,
All right.
everybody, for yeah. If you guys want to give us money, you're more than welcome to. Also, go follow Frank. And I'm sorry for cutting you off. It just Christianity.
I'm not even saying you should
It's
go and read it.
beautiful. It's great. It's amazing.
I'm
Whatever.
just saying you should read it so you see how they lived and not come to the
Listen,
conclusion of.
Christianity is like Islam to those who were cannibals. Improvement. 100%. I agree.
All right.
Not the best. Not the best.
I tried my best. I don't know why you make it look like I'm saying I'm when I brought the story of Paul, you just made it look like I was pitching Christianity against Judaism, and that was
No,
it
no,
had nothing
because
to do.
Paul is a Hitler. Like Paul is like
Yeah, Paul was
it's
Hitler.
like
Paul was
it's
Hitler.
like talking about Che
Ideology.
Guevara.
It was Hitler that killed
Know what I
Christians.
think about people who think Che Guevara was cool. This is what I think about people who bring up stories about Paul in
So you
anything that is remotely positive.
you said
Yes,
so
anything
you
that
put
is
in the same
remotely
category as those
positive.
people who think.
It's okay because you're from Nigeria. I get it. You're not from here. You didn't know what you were. You were
Okay,
confused.
so if you see a Jewish person who thinks Paul was cool, and Paul is great. You put him in the same category.
Yes, as people who think that that have Che Guevara shirts, it's the same thing. A lot of them don't know that Che Guevara had concentration camps for gays, for example.
Okay, so
but just because they're stupid, Paul had a lot of concentration camps. He was an asshole.
Paul had a lot of
I mean, he was, yes, an executioner. Anyway, yeah. So the same for me, Just because you're ignorant, I'm not gonna be like, Paul is awful.
you know what?
Shana Thornton, the amount of cows were important. Oh, okay, I see.
Why didn't you?
I'm actually I kind of want a cow right now because they talk about
yeah,
cows.
Shana, you forgot to add Rebecca is queen.
Yeah, you're right. But thank you for saying that, Frank. I appreciate you recognizing my my queenness.
All right.